Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here for another dehydrating video for garden season 2020. So this is a whole series I've got going on, and I am still dehydrating a lot of the same stuff I showed in previous videos in this series. And if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and check out the series, which I will link down below, and see some of the things I've been putting up. And in each one, I always try to give a tip, even if it's the same tip or a new one, on dehydrating, how I do it, how I use my Nesco and make the most of it, and even have a video on how I make the little cloth liners or covers for the dehydrator racks themselves. And you can make them for any dehydrator, you just got to cut them to fit. It's as simple as that. Really what I'm mostly talking about is the newer things I've started dehydrating most recently. And that would be lavender and roses, Nasturtium flowers, red clover, honeysuckle flowers. The pansies aren't new, but they're on this tray. And Valerian flowers. I've already been doing the Valerian leaves for a while, but now I'm doing some of the flowers, at least on the smaller Valerian plants. Now my larger Valerian, which I'll put a video clip of it right here, I just took yesterday. That one is well over 8 feet. I'm thinking it's got to be going on 9 feet tall right now. And those flowers I'm leaving alone because I'll be collecting the seeds from that one. And the reason I chose that one is it's my biggest, healthiest Valerian plant. So those are the seeds I want to put up on my store and also save for myself if I decide to make some more Valerian plants. I do still have a bunch of Valerian starts that I started from my own seed in the greenhouse that I got to move out. I gave a couple to a friend, but I got to get them out of their little pot. So I have some of these jars. Well, I've got rhubarb. That's not a new one, but I'm going to finish filling up this jar here, and I think I might be done dehydrating rhubarb for the season. But the great thing about dehydrating, like I mentioned in the rhubarb video, is that I can fit at least 16 stalks of rhubarb into one jar once it's dehydrated. Now, if I'm talking about freezing them into jars, I can only fit up to 2. Though I do still like to put a lot of them in the freezer for using to make creamsicles. So now red clover is one of those things I've been dehydrating for a few years. I do have a video out on the benefits of red clover, and I don't remember if I mentioned this in the video. The benefits of red clover to the skin, and yes, it's very beneficial. It's good for psoriasis and eczema. So now I'm starting to use the dehydrated red clover in some of my soap recipes, and I'm thinking of adding some to my special herbal infused oil that I use in my homemade skin cream because of its many benefits. But I'm always adding more herbs to it, because as I learn more about the benefits of different herbs to the skin, I just add another one to that blend. And yes, I've started dehydrating calendula too, but not from the plants that I started this year. They're from the 2 that made it through the winter up on the south side of the house that were planted right up next to the house, so it kept them protected. So they have been giving me some flowers. I got the pink one and a yellow one that made it through. So I've got some of those dehydrating right now. I'm starting to see a lot more buds on it because I pick the flowers as soon as I see them. And that's one way to really increase the production of the flowers on your various plants. If you're wanting to get more flowers to dehydrate, then get out there and harvest them right away, because what will happen is that tells the plant that, oh, I need to make more because I need to reproduce. Once the flowers are taken away, so are the seeds, and so it has to make more flowers in order to make more seeds. So that encourages it to really produce more. So anyway, another one I'm thinking of adding to the skin cream because it's really good benefits to the skin are the honeysuckle flowers. So my honeysuckle plants are new this year. I actually bought them down at the nursery. And so I'm just taking a few flowers at a time, partly because they're so pretty out there, and I don't want to take them all because I love the color it's adding. But anyway, I've got a couple fresh ones I just picked this morning here and going on the dehydrator. I believe there's more on the dehydrator that's running outside, because on hot days the dehydrators go outside, not inside. And then I've got the ones here. And then the Valerian flowers, the flowers, they just actually, to me, I love the smell of the flowers, but the flowers make a really wonderful tea, and a nice flavored tea. It tastes better and smells better than the root, but has very similar benefits being more sedative and relaxing, and relaxes the muscles. Same goes with the leaves. If you have younger valerian plants that are putting out leaves and flowers, you don't have to wait a couple of years to start using them. Start using the leaves and flowers now, and then later on down the road, when your plant's well established, you can dig it up, cut out some of the root, and then put it back in. Same thing goes with your echinacea and your marshmallow as well. Again, you don't have to wait. You can, with any of those plants, you can start using the leaves and the flowers because they have many benefits. It's just that most of the time with your herbs, you're going to find more benefits in the roots, but I find the leaves and the flowers of the valerian to be just as effective for me, especially if I eat them fresh or make a tea out of it in the evening, as taking the valerian root tincture to help me relax, to help take away pain, especially from tension, and also to help me sleep. Now the nasturtium flowers, these are from the dwarf nasturtiums. So here's a picture of them right here. I love the dwarf nasturtiums. Now they don't get, because they're dwarf, they don't get near as big or spread as far as your common nasturtiums, which I grow those too. The dwarf nasturtium just has that beautiful variegated leaf and the deep red flower. It's just my favorite color of all of them. But it doesn't produce quite as well as the bigger one. So I grow them both, but I saved a lot of seed from mine last year, and I'm growing, most of the ones I'm growing this year are from my own seed. So I was very pleased with that. So anyway, the nasturtiums, when I dehydrate them, then they're used in skin and hair care related things. So I use them in my homemade shampoo, which I do have a video on. I'll go ahead and link down below. I have 2 videos actually. I'll go ahead and link to the newer one where I use the colloidal copper, but just understand you can substitute the colloidal copper for just plain water. You don't have to use colloidal copper in it. And then also I've been adding them to some of the soaps that I sell in my store, in particular the cinnamon soap. I love that one. It smells so good. Cinnamon, vanilla, and then it has the nasturtium flowers in there because they're very good for your skin and for your hair. Nasturtiums help promote hair growth. So if you're having issues with hair loss, start harvesting those nasturtium flowers so that you can use that. Now I also use the nasturtium leaves, aside from using both of them in salads, because they're great in salads, or to eat fresh, or to stuff and have a stuffed nasturtium flower. Oh my goodness, especially if you got like a salmon or a steelhead, and you make it up kind of like you would a tuna fish and then stuff your flowers with that. It makes a really tasty snack. The leaves I use for making an antibiotic extract or tincture, so whichever one you want to do. I've started switching everything more over to extracts because I find them to be, they're cheaper to make because I can use my own homemade wine. I don't have to use a store-bought vodka that might be GMO. I know the wine is all natural, it's non-GMO, and it's organic, and it's free. And so that's what I make my extracts out of, and I find them to be just as effective as a strong tincture. I just take a little bit more when needed. So anyway, the nasturtium leaves make a wonderful antibiotic. You can eat them fresh if you have an infection, or through the year you can have that extract and take about an ounce of it maybe a couple of times a day, and it should help knock out an infection. I've had my son take it when he had an ear infection and he only needed 1 dose, and that did that. Now I do the extract a little bit different because I use more than just the nasturtium leaves. So I'll go ahead and link to the video I did on my recipe down below if you would like to check that out. Okay, now on to the lavender flowers. As I said, we know that lavender has all kinds of antibiotic properties. It's very good for skin healing and just skin health in general. And so these go in my skin cream, as I said earlier. And there's just so much you can do with lavender flowers, and besides the fact that they just smell wonderful. So I wanted to show you how I do this. When you want to make sure that you harvest your lavender before the little buds on here open up on each little, because you got a whole bunch of tiny flowers on each one. And before these actually bloom, that's when you want to harvest your lavender. And I like to cut it back so it encourages more growth. And so then what I do is I'll cut it. A lot of times I'll just grab a big handful and just mow it down like I'm cutting hair. And then, not that you can't dehydrate and use these, or I even have a video on lavender leaves and how you can use them, but for the sake of the flowers, I like to keep it just that. Then I just do that, grab the handful, and then just pull them off like that. And then, whoops, and then put them on my dehydrator. Now, the amount of time it takes to dry them is gonna, I get this question a lot, and I do cover it in a video that's coming up, but it's really gonna be dependent on your dehydrator, your heat setting, how many things you have in your dehydrator, and other variables such as how humid it is in your area, wherever it is that you're dehydrating. Now, when I'm doing herbs, I try not to do any of them above 105 degrees. However, when I'm doing stuff like rhubarb, I need to go pick a couple more stalks. I'll put the rhubarb on top and then turn the heat up a little bit higher, because when you're doing where you got a Nesco with the heat on the top, the heating element, then it blows the heat downward. Well, then you can turn the heat up a little higher if you're putting things like your ground beef or your rhubarb, fruits, vegetables, things like that can go up to 115 degrees. So you can put those on top, and then usually, like I've said in other videos, then I put them from the least delicate down to the most delicate at the very bottom of the stack, so that because the heat is going to dissipate and cool down as it moves downward, so the things on the bottom don't get as hot and you don't have to worry about them getting overheated from the temperature. And I do find with the Nesco, it's best to never go above 115, even when you're drying meat, just because that's one of the drawbacks to the Nesco, is that the plastic trays, you think they would make them better if they're going to give you a heat that goes up to 125. The trays are plastic and they can warp at that heat. I find 115 is the best, as you know, is the highest you should go for anything. And then for the rose petals, I've been harvesting. A lot of times I'll wait until they open up, but I've been harvesting these early to get started and also to encourage more rose petal growth. But my guess is the smell, they have much more of a smell before they open up. And I would guess, just like with the lavender, they probably have more benefits if you catch them early before they fully open up. And then they're going to be more useful. And I do have a video on rose petals and how I use them and their benefits. So what I'll do, like I do in every one of these videos, the other playlist I will link to down below is my herb playlist that it's actually going on 4 years old now. It's all the different videos I've done on herb profiles since 2016 when I first started my channel. I'm always adding to it, and I plan to add several more to it this year. So keep your eyes open for more to come out. But you can check out that video down below. I don't have one on lavender yet, but I do have one on the roses, on nasturtiums, on red clover, on valerian, on pansies or viola tricolor. Not on the honeysuckle yet. I'm hoping to do that one this year as well. So anyway, that's what's going on right now. That's just some of the stuff. That's just some of the newer stuff I've been dehydrating. I've also been putting up lots and lots of herbs like thyme and rosemary and sage. I haven't started the borage yet, even though I could have. I did actually pull up a lot of the borage, the older borage, and threw it down at the base of my beans so it can feed the soil and protect it from drying out, because that's a really good thing to do. And I know I'll have tons more borage. It's coming up all over out there, so I'm not concerned about that. But that one I'll be doing soon, and I am looking forward to getting the flowers to add to the salad, because they are so beautiful to be able to have the blue in there, and then the pansies and the nasturtiums, and it just makes such a vibrant salad. I love it. So anyway, that's my dehydrating video for the week. Hope you're enjoying this series. I plan to put out maybe a couple more as we continue on through the season. It won't be weekly, as you can see, but at least maybe every other week or so. And also, don't forget to share with us down below, what are you dehydrating this week? Okay, well, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.